All right, what's up, guys? Ryan McGinn here, and I got another awesome interview for you guys today. And this is my buddy from the other coast. This is Sean Croxton. You may or may not have heard of him. He's got a giant YouTube channel, Underground Wellness. I follow a lot of his videos. Got an awesome site, and it pretty much interviews the interviewable, like the Paul Check and guys like that. So, welcome to the call, and thanks for giving me your time today, Sean.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it, man.
So, I like to, like I said, I like to do things a little differently. I don't want to do the typical, you're a big holistic health guy and big on that. But I want to, like, what got you into, your JERF campaign, the Just Eat Real Food, and like, what started that for you? I mean, is there like an awakening? Like, did you get sick? I know a lot of people have stories like that. So, what was your,
Well, as far as underground wellness, and then we'll get into JERF. Underground wellness was just kind of more of a product of failure more than anything else. I went to a California State University, studied kinesiology, emphasized in fitness, nutrition, and health, and became a personal trainer after graduation. And kind of found that a lot of the information that I learned in my university courses just didn't work with real people. I mean, it was like food guide pyramid, do tons of cardio type of stuff, and it wasn't working. So me being a person who really cares, about how people spend their money, because people were paying me money to help them reach these goals, and I just wasn't doing it for them. I just started reading and just learning material from people who were actually getting real results with real people, and started implementing that, not just with my clients but also with myself, because I was dealing with like depression issues and whatnot back then, and the stuff seemed to work, and it was just completely the opposite of what I had learned before. And eventually took that to YouTube. This is like when YouTube first started, like 2006, 2007, and then started the podcast, and then the blog, and then a whole bunch of other stuff after that. But as far as JERF is concerned and Just Eat Real Food, that was like maybe a year and a half ago. I was just kind of going through this phase where I was like, this is ridiculous. There's like 2,000, maybe more diet books out there. There's probably a lot more than 2,000. And, they all say something different, and they're all the best and the latest and greatest and all that stuff. But if you just look at, the commonality amongst many of them, or if you look at the way that our ancestors of not that long ago used to eat, they just ate real food. They didn't have diet books and all this stuff and fad diets. They just ate real food. They really didn't have heart disease. They really didn't have a whole lot of cancer. They lived long, healthy lives, even though people think that they didn't, but we can get into that if you want. But, yeah, and I was just like, yo, let's just stop stressing out, because here's my thing. You can have the greatest diet in the history of the world, but if that diet, that fad diet, that weird diet that you're on is stressing you out, I'm not sure what's better. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be stressed out all the time, or to eat a bad diet, or the other way around. And so that's where Just Eat Real Food came from. Just like kind of me rebelling against the blogosphere and saying, hey, if my mom went online and typed in, how should I eat? She would be bombarded with 50 million different opinions. Like, yo, let's just keep it simple. There's people out there who are eating like ho-hos and ding-dongs, even though I think that company went away, for breakfast. Let's just keep it simple and say, just eat real food and call it a day.
That's awesome. And it's funny you say that, because everybody gets so freaked out with the term diet, and everybody's on a diet, and it's like the term diet, I personally hate it. I like the term just lifestyle change. Like, sometimes you fall off the wagon, slack off. I mean, I'm guilty of it. Everybody is, I'm sure. But I mean, it's like a total lifestyle thing. So, like, in dealing with like your personal training clients, like, what was like the commonality? Like, what were they all doing wrong? Was like, what were they trying to find, like, just the quick fixes, or?
Well, a lot of them, of course. I mean, that's just society these days. We want things fast. We're in a biggest loser society when it comes to fat loss. We want to get on the scale and be 30 pounds lighter in a week, and that's just simply not realistic. And that's why I don't like shows like that, because they create such an expectation that you're probably never going to reach. You don't have around the clock consulting. You don't have doctors and all that stuff hanging out with you. And to be honest, I mean, that stuff on TV just isn't safe in the first place. And it makes it really hard for people like me to convince the client, like, yo, that stuff doesn't really happen. Let's try to lose 1-2 pounds of fat per week, and then that's over. If we do this for a few months, those 1 to 2 pounds accumulate, and down the road you'll be 20 pounds lighter, and you'll be able to keep it off at the same time. Because 95% of people end up gaining all their weight back, and so my thing is, hey, what's that 5% who are keeping it off? What are they doing that everybody's not doing? So yeah, quick fixes are certainly what everybody expects. People wanted to do all of this cardio, and I mean, to be honest, cardio for me, especially that long endurance type of cardio, it's draining, but it also makes me really freaking hungry. You know what I'm saying? You get home and you want to eat up the freaking refrigerator, and so I find that to be quite counterproductive. I'm a fan of like interval training, weight training, try to keep the workouts nice and short, and do all of the other things. My ebook, The Dark Side of Fat Loss, I have this thing called the Code of the Underground. It's like eat real food, go to bed on time, reduce your stress, make sure your digestion's working well, reduce your toxic load, get your mind right, and get just enough exercise. And so when you do those key ingredients to fat loss and being healthy, you tend to lose fat and get healthy. When some of those things are missing, it probably isn't going to work. It's like trying to make chocolate chip cookies without the chocolate chips. It doesn't work.
I mean, you're big on the interval training, and I'm reading your book. I know that. But like for me, like I think it's like the whole transformation mentality. Like I personally, I respond better to like the long, slow cardio. It's like I totally relate to what you say about you wanting to eat a house. Like, I mean, I did 45 minutes on the incline walking this morning, and I just like, oh god, I couldn't wait to get off it to go eat breakfast. So it's like, I mean, I get that whole thing, but it's like the transformation mentality is something that I'm fascinated by. It's like you were saying, everybody wants that quick fix, and what I've seen, like, especially with myself, like I've been going now, like I got out of shape, and like I was lazy as hell for like probably 6 to 8 months, and I was like, man, and I wanted it fast. I was like, what am I? And I'm like, well, it's like 1 pound a week is huge. You add that up over a year, that's 52 pounds in a year, 104 pounds over 2 years. But it's like the thing is how you only really have to do that transformation once, and that's what I'm learning. Like it's like. I'm getting into a lot of like finishers and interval cardio now because I basically tapped out the fact that I'm like walking with a treadmill like this, I'm falling off of it, and I'm like, and my heart rate's still at like 100 beats per minute. And I'm like, well, this isn't working anymore. I have to vomit myself off and do intervals. But it's like, and the whole transformation thing is just it fascinates me because like when I think about how far like I've come in like 12 weeks, and it's like, okay, well, another 12 weeks, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of difference. And it's like, but then it's like that once you lose it that first time, it's so easy to maintain. And that's what I'm learning now. It's like I could kind of eat whatever I want. And I'm like, I'm not getting any worse. I'm just not getting any better. I have to like really dial it in to get better.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people will just lose the weight and they'll gain it all back and then some. You know what I mean? And of course we don't want that. And typically those are the folks who lost the weight. Excuse me. Fighting off a little throat thing right now. Those are typically the people who lost it really, really fast, and and when they lose it fast, they lose a lot of lean tissue. It disrupts the metabolism. Puts their body into kind of this starvation mode, and it just doesn't really work over time.
So let's talk about. I mean, you say that toxins in your body and things like that. I know that's a lot of like what you teach on your blog and in your podcast and things. What are common? I mean, for me, like I know I get overwhelmed really easily. So what's like like simple things that people can just implement like little by little in their diet to kind of reduce the toxins and just, merge towards the whole foods diet and things like that. Because I mean, you tell somebody to just like only eat like kale for breakfast, and they're gonna freak out,
Yeah, that's probably not gonna work. People don't want to eat kale for breakfast. Kale is pretty good, like mixed in eggs, though. Yeah. But
I like kale personally, but it's that transformation mentality, Once you're there,
little things that you can do. Go to ewg.org and you can download something called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And the Dirty Dozen are those 12 produce items that you should always buy organic, because the non-organic forms of them are just loaded with toxins and chemicals and pesticides and whatnot. The Clean 15, those are the non-organic produce items that you can buy non-organic. You don't always have to buy organic. And so just that is a great step in the right direction for a lot of people. Because it's not you have to go all organic all the time, because that tends to be overwhelming to people. And then a lot of people say, well, organic really doesn't make a difference. I don't know. It's like, yo, I don't like poisons in my food. You know what I'm saying? It's really that simple. If you want to eat poisons, then go ahead and eat a non-organic diet. That's fine. couple of other things that people can literally do today. Go to cosmeticsdatabase.com. Again, cosmeticsdatabase.com. And it's run by the Environmental Working Group, ewg.org. And you can punch in your personal care products. So your deodorants, your mouthwash, all of that stuff. And you can actually see on a scale of 1 to 10 how toxic these items are. And back in the day when I did this for the first time, it was like everything I had was like an 8, 9, and 10. And so, I've switched over, use more natural, non-toxic products. Also using better forms or non-toxic forms of cleaning products around the house. See, what a lot of people don't get is that these chemicals, a lot of them have been classified as obesogens. And so meaning that they can make you fat. They cause hormone disruption within the body. We have to realize that, hey, if you want to stop smoking, you may use a patch. If you have low testosterone and you don't want to get to the root cause, you'll go to the doctor and they'll give you some type of gel that you rub into your skin. So sometimes we forget that these things that we rub all over our bodies, that we spray all over our homes, can get into the body and cause certain issues. It can be detected in the bloodstream within about 5 minutes. And those cause issues with our receptors for our hormones, with the hormones themselves. And, if you read my book, The Dark Side of Fat Loss, I think chapter number 2 is called It's All About the Hormones. We have to be very mindful of our hormones because the hormones can make you gain weight. Hormones can help you to lose weight. When you get those under control and you get rid of a lot of these poisons and toxins and bad foods which throw off the hormonal system, that makes it so much easier to take the weight off and keep it off.
Yeah, that's also what is your take on like a nutrient timing and things like that? I know that's been huge for me, especially like when I can and can't eat my carbs, like. Because I'm like an endomorph body type, and I'm just learning this all in like the last 6 to 8 months. Like, it's just like, and I had no idea. Like for me, it's like I cannot have carbs at night, and I'm like, I wake up looking like I weigh 400 pounds. I'm just like, and it's like even good carbs. I'll have I think of brown rice and some mixed vegetables, and I'm like walking around like that for like a day and a half until like I burn it off and I'm good. Like, what's your take on that? With you couple that with like pesticides and shit in your food. It just couples everything, especially.
Nutrient timing is very fascinating. I actually read a book called Nutrient Timing maybe 5-6 years ago, one of my favorite books. I used it more for bodybuilding more than anything else, getting my insulin up after a workout so it can shuttle the proteins into the cells and also replace my glycogen. As far as nutrient timing with, the general population, I try to not really get them to overthink things. Like I can't have anything past this time because it has to be according to this plan. I think that's when people kind of get a little flustered. I say what works for you. So you, Ryan, if you have a lot of carbs at nighttime that you get bloated and you don't feel well. Somebody like myself, I may have carbs. I may have a sweet potato before bedtime and feel just fine. So everybody's going to be a little bit different. And that's why, and I hate to keep plugging my book. That's why in that book, there's something called the body language log where you can actually track how you feel after particular meals and learn about yourself and learn what works for you and what doesn't work for you, because I can't sit here and say this right here is going to work for you, and I know it's going to work for you because everybody's so different. What I want to get people to do is think. So for example, if you had a sandwich for lunch today and an hour later you're back at your cubicle or your desk and you want to fall asleep, that's your body's language talking to you saying, yo, that sandwich doesn't work for you. It's too much bread, not enough protein, not enough fat. Let's flip that thing upside down. Have something that's got more protein, more fat, and less carbohydrates, and people will say, oh my God, I feel so much better. I don't need a coffee in the afternoon to perk myself up, because the only reason why my energy went down is because of what I consume. So let's switch that up and pay more attention.
Heck yeah, that's awesome advice there. What is your? I know a lot of people. Especially me. Like I go to the grocery store, cook my own foods, but I get lazy, and I know a lot of people too. They think, oh my God, I have to cook every single meal at house. Like, if you want to go out to eat, what do you order? What do you eat? I got to plug my computer in. My battery's gonna die real quick.
It's all good. You want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead. We're good now.
We're ready. Okay. If I go out to eat, I'll go out and get like a grass-fed burger. I like a place down the street called Burger Lounge, and they have an awesome Caesar salad, and I'll have a burger patty on the side, and I'll cut it up and put it in, mix it in with the salad. That's awesome. I go out for sushi. There's a sushi. I live in downtown San Diego, so there's lots of stuff around me. I go out for sushi across the way. Typically, I just have like the sushi, which is just like the fish and just a little bit of rice there. That tends to work for me. If I have the big rolls, I tend to fall asleep about an hour after I have that meal. But really, if it's not one of those two things, I live by. I call it the 80-20 rule, but it really isn't the 80-20 rule. I mean, because the 80-20 rule means like for every four good meals you have, one of them is going to be bad. But it's just kind of a statement as far as I don't do it right all the time. And I don't think anybody should have that expectation for themselves to do it right all the time. I go out every so often with my friends and I just order whatever I need to order. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might catch me out and about with a little bit of chocolate cake or something like that. And, it's all good because that keeps me sane. And when I come home, which is where 90% of my meals are consumed, you can't really find many bad things in my home. And that's one of the rules I live by is like, if I want to have something that's on the not so good food list, I've got to get myself in the car and drive to Whole Foods at 9:30 at night, right before they close, and get whatever I need to get. I think when you have access to things, you're going to eat them. When you don't, then, you won't. But again, if I'm in a social environment, I'm not about to be that weird guy who says, who's asking the waiter, is it organic? Oh, if it's not organic, I can't eat it. And the guy who'll just sit there and not eat anything because I'm trying to stick to my perfect diet all the time. That's just not going to work.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I don't know if this. I mean, I love Chipotle. I eat nothing like all the time, like just a plain meat with the vegetables and guacamole. And I mean, I hope I'm pretty sure it's good for me. I don't know, but I still keep losing weight and looking good on it. So I tell people that all the time. I'm like, Chipotle is fucking awesome. And most people are like, oh, you eat there all the time? I'm like, well, if I'm lazy, probably 4 or 5 times a week. Yeah, I'll eat the same exact thing over and over again.
And people need to know that you can tweak a meal to make it better for you. I say, hey, the quality of the meal isn't going to be phenomenal, but I can go to McDonald's and get something that's relatively healthy. I can order a couple of burgers. I can take the buns off, have a couple of beef patties. I can get the McDonald's salad as well. I can go ahead and cut up those burgers and throw them in the salad and eat it. The same thing I do at Burger Lounge, I can do at McDonald's. Is it the healthiest thing in the world? No, but it's a lot better than eating the burgers themselves, with the buns.
And I think that's where people get all fucked up too. They just start overthinking things and worrying about it. It's like if you're at home, like you have a good breakfast, a good lunch, and you're like out of food and you're like stressed out because you can't get to the grocery store because your day off's tomorrow. Then it's like it's cool to go eat something like that as long as just be conscious and like you said, I mean, the more conscious you are about it, the more healthier your choices are going to be. And I love the 80-20 principle too. It's just like, when I have a cheat meal, like I just want it to be the most epic cheat meal you've ever seen. Like it's like I'll just go to town for like a couple hours,
I hear you.
But I mean, and I think that's where people get messed up. They just think everything have to be so strict, and then it's like going for that transformation mentality. Like it's like once you understand, like I can visually look in the mirror now and go, oh, well, I shouldn't eat that.
Right.
It's like, and especially pizza. Like I love pizza, but I can't eat pizza. Like pizza just destroys me. Like, and I mean, I've done it, really drunk and gone out and had 4 slices of pizza. Woke up the next day and looked like Stay Puft, man. I'm like,
that stuff just screws up my digestion, dude. All that cheese, like I know that. I'll even be, a little hammered out and about every once in a while and be like, that pizza looks really good, but you know what? Tomorrow morning's gonna be no bueno. And so, just be mindful. Just be mindful all of the time, and I think everybody's gonna be okay.
So talk to me about your workouts. What do you do for workouts nowadays? How does your what's your training like?
Dude, you know what I just started doing? Like I'm from the old school, man. Like I was like a big fan of like Arnold and Lee Haney and these guys, you know what I'm saying? And so I love bodybuilding, basic, just like go in there, bang out some chest, some bench press, some inclines, some push-ups, do some shoulders and whatever. I'm kind of on that. I just got that bodybuilding mentality, even though I'm not a huge guy. And one thing I just did, because I did about 6 weeks of kind of like 8 to 12 reps, kind of bodybuilding style, but I chopped 30 seconds off of my rest time. So I used to give myself 90 seconds in between compound movements to rest. And I was like, yo, I'm going to change it up a little bit. And I'm going to just do 60 seconds in between sets. And then if it's like a curl, like a single jointed movement, I'll do like 45 seconds. And so, dude, that 30 seconds makes a
Oh yeah.
huge difference. I tell you, Ryan, I was on the incline bench press the other day, the barbell, benching 65 pounds. You know what I'm saying? 65 pounds because, you know, you just don't give yourself enough time to recover. And talk about soreness.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've been getting sore for this last week or so because my body's like, yo, you've never done this before. What's going on? And, you know, after a week of doing that, I can actually notice a change in my body. And so that's really what I do. I do a little bit of cardio here and there. I walk around a lot. Like I said, I live in downtown San Diego, so I walk everywhere. My office is in downtown, so I walk to my office probably once a day. And it's that's really all I do. Nothing too crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just got it. Like literally, I love bodybuilding training. And I mean I train at Elliott's gym, as you know. Like so, it's all I always look at him and I just like stop, just do your thing over there. Go like, because he's like a freak of nature. If anybody listens that doesn't know who Elliott Hulse is, you know they look him up. Like I mean he literally I've watched the guy do nothing but like bench and deadlift for like a year and get bigger, and I'm like I don't understand you. I don't get it. Like you know I'm over there like I'm like in 4 sets of 12, like just crushing myself, like sore, like, you know, doing all this shit. And I'm like, he's like, whatever he touches just gets swole. I'm like, all right, well, I hate you.
I wonder what his testosterone levels are like.
Unheard of, I'm sure. It's funny because everybody sees his videos and it's just like, when I just because I know him, I'm like, it doesn't matter what he does. He always looks huge. And people don't get that. I'm like, they think he has this special routine, and I'm like, no, he just is that freaking big.
Elliott's the dude, man. I love that guy. He's fit and he's super smart, man. You know, that's what I love most about that guy. He can talk about anything. I honestly think he would never do this. But I was even telling this when he was on my show. Like, he has that on camera and off camera as well, charisma, very similar to The Rock. You know what I mean? If he ever wanted to get into wrestling, dude, he would crush it. He'd never do it because that's not his thing. But my gosh, he has so much charisma. It's crazy, man. That guy needs to go Hollywood. For real.
It's so funny too because I mean, we go to lunch and we'll hang out down in our downtown area all the time, and it's just like everybody thinks that like I almost get tired of hearing because he goes on rants for like 6 to 8 weeks at a time, like he's all into something, and like by like week 3, I'm like, do we have to talk about this again? Like, and people don't understand that. Because they go to like his live events. They see Elliot. I'm like, oh god, he's just like he's my friend. I love the guy.
A great guy.
So it's just funny to think about. And then training with him is a whole other thing. Like because like I for so long just kind of did what he did. And like I mean, not that I wasn't getting results because I got strong as shit. I mean, I could deadlift like 550 or something when you know. But, like, for my body type, I was like, I just can't do this. Like, I have to bodybuild. Like, I forgot how cool bodybuilding was, like, and how well it works on my body. Like, I have to get, like, a good-looking shoulder, like, you know, 100 sets of a freaking lat raise before I see a difference, you know? And so that's been cool just to kind of go back. And I actually work, his assistant, Chris, I don't know if you've ever talked to him before, but he helped me to, like, you know, work up, like, this whole, like, bodybuilding type of thing. And it's really more, I've been just seeing huge results, and it's been awesome, so I can totally relate to it. And a lot of my thing is like I'm that guy with the stopwatch, like you know, on my phone between reps. Like,
yeah,
I gotta go again. I totally see what you mean by that. But we'll talk to you about. And I know you mentioned a couple of times for those listening. Sean has an awesome product called the Dark Side of Fat Loss, and like, what is that? I mean, how does your product differ from you know all the other ones out there? Being that I know they just listened to you for the last like 20 or so minutes, they understand that you're a cool guy and you know what you're talking about. But, you know, tell us what makes Dark Side of Fat Loss, you know, awesome.
Well, the fact that it goes beyond the diet and exercise component, of course, diet and exercise are important, but they're just two pieces of a really big puzzle. I mean, when I was working as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner with clients by phone or through Skype, sometime in person, they were people who were eating a good diet and they were people who were getting plenty of exercise, but things still weren't quite working for them the way that they thought they would. And so we have to consider some of these other pieces of the puzzle, hormones, digestion, detoxification, the immune system. So we could talk about hormones real quick. If you've got low testosterone levels, you're probably not going to lose weight. You're probably not going to build muscle. It's extremely difficult to do that. If you've got an inability of your body to convert the inactive thyroid hormone to its active form, and then your thyroid controls your metabolism, you're going to have a hard time dropping weight. And so, what the book does is it really looks into why might your hormones be out of whack. And typically, it's stress related. And it could be mental, emotional stress. However, it can also be these internal stressors going on within the body, because when the body's dealing with a lot of stress, it doesn't really care about sex and reproduction and fat loss and putting on muscle. Your hormonal system kind of switches over to feed the stress side of your hormonal pathway at the expense of your sex hormones. And so I want people to understand that and understand, again, testosterone and estrogen and insulin and how those come into play when it comes to reaching your fat loss goals. I'll give you another example. Clients who would have long-term digestive issues. I mean, the digestive system is king. You can have a great diet, but if your digestive system doesn't work really well, then how much of that nutrition is actually getting to your cells in order to build the body? And so these clients that I'd work with, they say, oh my God, I've had digestive problems for the last 5 to 20 years. It just really depends on the person. And they would always say, gosh, I can't lose weight. And I'd say, how's your libido? How's your sex drive? Oh, it's non-existent. Again, because the body is switched over to that stress pathway and the sex hormones are going down, and you're going to, not lose fat. We talk about detoxification. As I said, with the thyroid hormone, 60% of your thyroid hormone is converted in your liver. But if your liver is clogged up and congested because of toxins in your diet, toxins in the water that you drink, toxins in your personal care products, your household cleaning products, on and on and on, then your liver is clogged up and it's not doing its job to convert that thyroid hormone. Getting back to digestion, the bacteria in your digestive system is responsible for 20% of that thyroid hormone conversion. And most people out there have thrown off gut bacteria. They've got gas all the time. They're not breaking down their foods properly, on and on and on. That is going to contribute to your inability to lose fat. And so that's why I call it the dark side of fat loss, because it's the things that people don't really talk about because we're so fixated on this diet and exercise mentality. And when you really think about diet and exercise, you're reducing your calories, putting yourself into a starvation mode. And then at the same time, you're increasing your calorie expenditure by way of exercise. And so if you really go back in the day to Paleolithic times or something like that, they had times when there wasn't a whole lot of food around. So the body went into conservation mode in order to stay alive, right? Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what we do when we diet. We kind of put ourselves into a starvation mode and always say, what caveman or cave woman who's going through a starvation cycle, who's starving, would run on a treadmill? It doesn't make any sense, and that's kind of what we do right now. And if you look at it, it's not working really well. It's like 95% of people who lose fat end up gaining it back and then some. And that's just because of stuff that goes on within your hormonal system. And one thing they'll learn about is leptin. Leptin is huge. Mm-hmm. When you throw off that leptin, you're going to gain your weight back. Mm-hmm. And the way that we lose fat these days, or we're told to lose fat, throws off our leptin levels and our ability for our brain to know when we're full and when we have enough fat stores, and you're done. And so the book is, again, just everything that they should be telling you about fat loss that they're not telling you. And it's really a lot of the stuff that I've learned in the past 3 years by interviewing some of the best experts in the world on these topics.
And like I said before, at the beginning of the interview, you've interviewed huge people. Paul Chek's like a myth, it seems like. And he's always on the Underground Wellness Show. Same thing with is it Mark Sisson? Mark Sisson,
yeah.
Those two guys, I love their stuff. It's just awesome stuff. And just the thought of interview, that was wow, those guys are like the Pope, man. but you seem to get them on quite a bit, which is awesome. But yeah, like Sean was saying, his Dark Side Fat Loss book is it's one of the more eye-opening fat loss books out there. Most everything being sold today is more kind of like a recipe, or here, do this for 8 weeks and you'll lose weight. But you're most likely gonna gain it back if you don't really correct the real issues on what's going on. And it's funny you mentioned stress, because you add stress in on top of all of that. Especially, most people hate their jobs and hate their lives right now. So all that plus the fact that you're starving yourself, it fucks people up. So And if you didn't know it, Sean is an entrepreneur himself, which a lot of people I seem to be interviewing are all entrepreneurs, which is awesome. And talking with like-minded individuals, for those listening, is kind of a go-to hand in hand. When you get yourself in check, you kind of realize that working for people isn't the way to go.
Right.
So,
I don't do really well work. I'm too opinionated. I don't really work for
yeah.
people very well. I work for my followers, my undergrounders. That's who I work for.
Yeah, that's all. And your stuff is it's undergroundwellness.com is your main site, and then your YouTube channel is awesome as well. And then your podcast. You do it every week, right? The podcast, is it every? I know it's a certain time, but I always seem to catch the replays. I never get it live.
Yeah, 99% of the audience is podcasters or are podcasters. That's every Tuesday nights. And
Okay.
so you can go to undergroundwellness.com. You can, opt in the upper right-hand corner. You get the free chapter as well. And you also get radio show notifications. So if you can make a live show, you can listen to it. But then again, you'll have the link so you can listen to the replay.
Awesome. And then for any of those, if you want to check out his Dark Side of Fat Loss book, there should be a link somewhere in the video wherever I decide to put it, because we can click links now in YouTube videos. And also I'll link to it below so you can check out all of Sean's stuff. But I just want to say that's all for today. I don't have any more questions. Unless you want to add in anything. Actually, what is the craziest workout you've ever done, Sean?
Craziest workout I've ever done. First thing that comes to mind was a CrossFit workout. I can't remember. They have like all these names for like Fran and something like that. And it was the most basic thing ever. I want to say it was 20 push-ups, 20 body weight squats, 12 pull-ups for 20 minutes, I think it was. And I swear, Ryan, I got done. My hands were bleeding. Like it was all bad, but I didn't want to look like no punk, so I just kept doing it anyway. Man, that had me so sore for so many days, and it made showering the most miserable thing in the world, because like I had these nasty cuts on my hands. Like that was the hardest workout I've ever done. It was no weight, all body weight.
And you probably
Crushed me. Yeah, the CrossFit.
You probably looked at it on the board too, or paper, when you looked at it, like, this looks like easy.
Yeah, when they told me, because I just went in to check it out, and they were like, "Hey, we got something for you," and they told me, I was like, "Oh, that's easy." And then you get to like round 4, and you're like, "Dude, I've got like 15 minutes left of this. That's crazy."
Yeah, that's all. There's a lot of like strongman workouts do that for me all the time too. It's just like, you're like, oh, what am I doing? Like your hands are just like calluses are ripped off, and you're still going. You're like, I got 5 more minutes left.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's definitely physically tough and mentally tough at the same time.
Definitely, but hey, if you don't mind, hang on the line after I end the recording. But guys, I hope you enjoyed what Sean's told you guys talked about today. If you want to check out his product, like I said, click the link below or in the video, and definitely subscribe to his stuff. It's amazing. Always good content, and he interviews some of the people that nobody else can seem to get a hold of. So definitely follow his stuff. That's all, and thanks for checking out the interview.